welcome everybody to day 2 of our online weekend workshop for the month of September 2020, the Cape Town group. And yesterday we looked at perhaps the deepest level that we have gone to thus far. And just as a little bit of a recap, just a very brief recap, that when we get to step or practice 6, that is where there is patience that is demonstrated by the believer. And in the experience of patience, the person actually gets to the point where they say, this is, whether it's a behavior in me, whether it's a situation in my life, whether it's a state in my body or physical form or in somebody else's attitude, and so on and so forth. The believer at that particular point says, this is what is, and I allow it to be. Not only do I allow it to be, I allow it to continue to be, and I'm not interested in it. So that the average human being will never get in a billion years. You know what I mean? That how can you let a problem be and let it continue to be and be not interested in it? But that's the very thing that's required, that we be with an experience, observing it without reacting to it, definitely not resisting, pushing up against it, and definitely not trying to change it. And just being with it and being still with it, allowing it to be, allowing it to continue to be, and being more interested in our security with our Creator. And the more we can be interested in our security with our Creator, the more our Creator can take care of that for us. If you release on an unpleasant reality and you withdraw your attention from that unpleasant reality and you go to a higher place vibrationally within your being of security / okayness, then you've shifted. And the principle is that if you go to a higher space within your being and you shift consciousness, then the world around you has to reflect a different reality. It's got nothing to do with maybe or maybe not, likely or unlikely, possible. It is 100% probable that when you shift your consciousness, it then is reflected back to you as a reflection shifts, as a confirmation of your shifting of consciousness. So the point is, if you can be with something, whatever it is, allow it to be, allow it to continue to be, and you be more interested in God, focus more on God. And what we do is focus on God is 1 and 2. There is only the one alone that really is, because of whom everything else created is. But the one that is alone really exists, and the one that is source, unique and supreme, and all great, all gracious, is the all benefiting, all caring, is the totally independent, that everything depends upon, everything created depends upon, but God depends on nothing. And so when we begin to go through that particular step of releasing, being patient, allowing, and we focus on God, 1 and 2, that there is only the one alone significant and relevant, and we choose to surrender, submit, bow, remove significance from us, remove significance, the idea of significance, that we are significant, that this world is significant, that something in our life is significant, that something other than God is significant. The moment we go into there's nothing but God, God alone is the significant, God alone is the relevant, nothing else is relevant and significant, nothing else is real, only God is really real. The moment we do that, we withdraw totally our attention from time and space and where we've projected it. And then we have gone multidimensional. We've gone beyond the ego that has created that particular situation. So by allowing what is to be, allowing it to continue to be, and actually not being interested in it, and being more interested in our security with our Creator. And from being interested in our security with our Creator, we can then actually transcend, in terms of a vibrational band that we were in time and space. We are in the multidimensional now. We've gone beyond. We've claimed refuge with our Creator. And in that security that God alone is to be focused on, paid attention to, felt strongly about, I'm more interested in God. God alone exists for me to be interested in. Nothing else is more interesting than God. And I focus on the one. There's only the one to focus on. Nothing. Nothing and nobody is to be reacted to. Nothing and nobody is to be responded to. Only God is to be responded to. Nothing and nobody is to be resisted and reacted to. Once you go into worship, you exit the situation, time and space, and the energy that has created it. And that's when you can begin to say, God alone not only is to be focused on, and I focus on God, but God alone is to be felt about, and I feel about God. And that's where we can feel about the all-greatness and the all-graciousness and the love and the caring that exists for us, and the unique, awesome nature that is God, truly the awesome, the amazing. So once you get out of time and space while a problem is, and you focus on God. So yesterday I said to you, and I've told you this before as well, if you want to transform a situation in your life, a health condition, anything that you are disturbed by, focus on God instead. Focus on God instead. Because the problem is perpetuated and exacerbated as you focus on it. We are consciousness focused into material reality. So anything that you focus on, you just make sure you draw a worse experience of it to you. It just gets worse. You know what I mean? So we know people who are enlightened, and we trust principle, we trust God, trust truth. We know we will not be failed by God. We will not be failed by truth. We will not be failed by principle. So we focus on God instead. Now this is the thing the ego says don't do. You got cancer, what are you focusing on? God. You should focus on the cancer and get rid of it. You overweight, you should focus on being overweight and get rid of it. Your partner is behaving like this and that. You should focus on that, and you should, and you just, things just get worse. You understand? As people, through their own consciousness, focus on their own miscreations and champion it. But it's real. But I see it. But it can be x-rayed. It can be seen. In the meantime, it's just a simulated reality reflecting a disharmonized energy within you. It's just a distortion in your reality coming from you. So the average person will never say, I let it be, I let it continue to be, and I focus on God instead. But those who do let it be, let it continue to be, not be interested in it, but more interested in God, and focus on God as one and two, as I said to you, worship and praise, then we can feel that caring of God, that consideration of God, 3 and 4, and we can feel the forgiveness of God, which is 5, invoking the forgiveness of God. And we can know that while whatever is, it doesn't really matter. It's just a reflection that comes from us. We have a history of miscreating, and we are miscreating. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. Forgive somebody for what they didn't do, for what didn't happen. This is why people who hold resentment to whatever, the cancer or the doctors for failing to do something, or whatever people are about, somebody stole from me, because of them I feel bad, because of what they did to me I feel bad. That resentment, that if they don't forgive, if they don't release, they only poison themselves in their own life. This is why all great masters encouraged us to release, to surrender, to forgive, to allow, to let go. They've encouraged that, and I do the same. That the idea is for us to be more interested in God, 1 and 2, and then God's relating to us, 3 and 4 and 5, and that's more important. If you get there, then you're really at 6, which is patience or patient perseverance, then you're really in the experience of allowing it to continue to be, not interested in it. You are secure, you've gone vertically upwards, and you are now patiently persevering, or rather, you can handle that situation powerfully. Because that's what's required for us. And patience basically means you are an adult, empowered, to handle that situation creatively. That's what it means. Patient perseverance just means, powerful progressing. That's all it means. Powerful progressing. And if you don't reach a place of reclaiming your power, focusing on God, and withdrawing your attention from wherever you projected it out, you cannot claim the alternate reality. There's an alternate reality, and you cannot claim that alternate reality that exists, God's blessing for you in this world and the world beyond. God is the all-giving, the all-generous giver, the all-gracious, generous giver. And it's there. Whatever you could ever want is already there. But you have to go beyond insecurity, low consciousness, to be, open to allowing. If you're in a low consciousness, if you're behaving like a child, and you're just tantruming, and you want your dummy, and you're unhappy, you like to be unhappy. Unhappiness is, a sickness. It's a sickness like procrastination and all that unhappiness. And there are people who have chronic unhappiness, which is the sickness. You understand? And it basically means like somebody might procrastinate, or somebody might, be indecisive, be jealous. Chronic unhappiness is a spiritual sickness. People don't realize that. That every time things are not going your way, you get unhappy. So chronic unhappiness is a sickness, just as blame, aggression, self-pity is. These are blocks that once people get into them, they can get stuck there. So my point is, if we can get to the point of releasing, allowing, being still, letting the problem be seemingly a problem because it's a consequence, and as we can let it be, then we let it continue to be, and we're not interested in it. We've gone to God. We are more interested in our relating to God, and God's relating to us, and the divine reality that there is grace upon us, and we are not among those that are spiritually impoverished. So we can reach there, and we can begin to say, what would we prefer? What would we desire? And again, a lot of unhappy people don't know what they want, Unhappy people are like so lost that they only know, I don't like what's happening, it must stop. Like children, but they don't know what I would like to experience, what it would look like for me, that I want the situation to be, what would please me. So if you're on a checkup, if you're suffering from chronic unhappiness, you must understand it's like pessimism, it's like, it's not good in the sense of something that a spiritual person is going to say, hi, I like to tell you that I've got chronic unhappiness, I'm happy about it. So this is what we do. If you can release your unhappiness, if you can handle the situation as an adult, not as a child, give me my pacifier, I just feel overwhelmed by this, making it, something so bad, it's the worst thing ever. And whatever the ego will tell you to justify that, it's a lie. And that's why we've done so many questions on why do you choose to be unhappy about this? Why do you choose to make this real? Why do you choose to be against this? Why do you think this is something for you to be against? Why can't you let it be? What are you making this mean? If you were calm and you weren't interested in this, what do you think that would be? And the ego says, well, that means I'm not respecting me. I'm not respecting me. I need to respect me. You don't want to respect the ego. Understand? You want to respect God, respect truth. We go for our security first. We go for the experience of I'm okay in this situation. That's really what the penultimate step is. I'm okay in this situation. That's why I told you, whatever we're going through, you can handle it. If you feel you can't handle it, that's just a child in you. That's you feeling like how you felt when you were a child, when you couldn't handle things. You understand? But you as an adult, you have the capacity. I'm not guessing. I'm telling you, if you can drive a car, if you can talk, and relate to people, if you can have your own bank account, then you are an adult with resources and you can handle things. But you might say, no, I can't handle it. It feels like I can't handle it. No, that's the child in you. You identified with the child energy. You are not letting it go. You are holding on because you have a belief that this is something for me to feel bad about. I should feel bad about this. I should be unhappy about this. I should be against this. You just in a trance focused on something. This is why we say nothing in the world of form is anything for us to be interested in as much as we are to be interested, about God. Nothing being is as interesting as the being of God. You understand? Because God is the only being. So when we admit that, when we say that nothing being, so having somebody cut me off in traffic, that being not real. You understand? It's not actual. It's in the simulation. It's not something for me to be hung up upon. What happened in my childhood, what I went through in my past, what's happening currently, what is an apparent truth, what seems to be so. But what actually is so is really more significant. What is actually happening and what I think is happening. So when you're in the child energy, when you're in the victim energy, when you are in that powerless energy, you're like, look what's happening. He did this, she did that. It's happening like this. I don't have enough of. I'm too much like that. They're too much like this. Look what's happening. And suddenly you're in a trance. You are looking at what's apparently happening in a virtual reality. But what is really happening is God alone is. We are because God is. We exist. And we will continue to exist. And we have worth. And we are in the compassion of God. God is the forgiving and the pardoning, the merciful, the compassionate. So this is the thing, that if we become aware of that level of truth, that what is really going on. The fish, if it begins to look at water, instead of taking water for granted, instead of just saying, can't find any food today, that's not a big problem. If you went in water, that would be a big problem for a fish. So as long as the fish is in water, it doesn't really have any big problems. So in the same way, as long as God is, and that God will always be, and as long as God is Godding, that means we are always Godded, and that will always be. As long as we are okay, sustained on a planet that spins on its axis, and we have air to breathe, as long as you got air to breathe, you're okay. And as long as, it doesn't mean if you don't breathe, you're not okay. It just means you're still okay, but you are not in the physical focus anymore. Like when you go to sleep at night and you dream, but there's a time when you wake up. And when you wake up, you don't say, I died in my dream, it's over, my dream life is over, I died. You get up. You get up and it's like normal, You get up, it's normal for you to get up. You accept it as a part of sleep life, that I dream and then I get up. You don't get all hung up, I wanted the dream to continue forever. So in the same way, when you transition, you'll get up. You'll have an experience of getting up, from where you are here, in a different way. And you'd be still experiencing yourself as okay. because your being is beyond your body. And so as we know that we are okay, that's what the big deal is. There's God in whose care we always are, and because of whom we are, in whose care we are always in. There's God. And you know, we've been given worth. We don't have to get worth. And we have the opportunity to experience being protected if we choose it. It's there for us to live in the compassion and the mercy of God, the care, the consideration, and the compassion. So, you know, that's what it means to focus on God. You know, focus on God. Focus on what is really actually happening, the divine reality. Have a higher level consciousness than the average human being. Go beyond the disbeliever consciousness, lost in time and space, thinking that you are the only intelligence, this world is something that is always there. Then realize we are created beings in a created world. Recognize what we are experiencing is a reflection of our consciousness. That nothing here is anything that's really here. We experience it as being here, but it's not really here. Like in a dream, nothing there is really there. It's a dreamscape. You think you're there, you're not in the dream, you're in the bed sleeping. And you think other people are there and you're somewhere, but there's no somewhere, but you're there, you know, and there's other people there, but there's nobody there. But that's where you are, and that's where people are. So it appears like that. And it feels very real when you're dreaming. You know, it's like you don't know that you are in the bed sleeping. So what if you could be aware while you were dreaming that you are in the bed sleeping, which is what a lucid dream is? What if you could allow yourself to have a lucid dream and wake up in the dream, which I've done many times and I enjoy. And some of you may have had that experience, that while you're dreaming, you realize you're dreaming. And it's a very strange kind of experience to realize I'm dreaming. I can dream whatever I want to and have fun. And you are aware that you're dreaming. So in the same way, what if you could be aware that this world is not as real as you think it is? What if you could be aware, what if you could, like how you have a lucid dream, what if you could have a lucid life? What if you could, become lucid in your life while you're on the earth plane and, while you're here? What if you could become lucid, What if you became aware of God, of the truth that consciousness creates reality, that consciousness is not physical, that you are not a physical being? What if you became lucid like that, to realize that whatever you're living in your life is just a reflection of your consciousness? Like how people have a dream and they don't know it's a dream and they live it unconsciously, dream through it unconsciously, and it has its own direction, and whatever happens unconsciously. What if when you become aware that you're dreaming, you can actually control the dream? You can choose what you want to dream and have the dreams that you want. So what if when you wake up and you become lucid and you become aware that you're a fifth dimensional being, what if as you become a fifth dimension, experience yourself as what you really are, a fifth dimensional being, life becomes very lucid? You understand? What if faith is basically lucid living? What if faith and prayer is actually living fifth dimensionally, and superconsciously and supraconsciously is lucid living? What if it is? Because it is. And so as we wake up in this life experience to God, to truth, to reality, to what we are, to what's going on here, we know what's actually happening here, what's really happening here. What's really and actually happening here is that we exist only by the greatness and the grace of God. And we, being here, are in a fallen state, unaware. We are lost in 4D. And when we realize that there is, for us, to go beyond 4D, to go to a higher level of our being, like when you're sleeping, there's a higher level of your experience while you're sleeping in a dream. Instead of being lost in the dream, you wake up to the, I'm actually dreaming this dream, which is true. I'm dreaming this dream. So what if when you become lucid in life, you become aware, I am creating this reality. You become aware that whatever's going on in my life, whatever's happening here is not happening to me. I'm not in it, lost in it, controlled by it. I'm not unconscious in the dream. You become aware that I am having the experience of this reality, but at the same time, I am the creator of this reality. This is what we're talking about. So focus on God, not on the problem. Focus on truth, focus on security, not on the problem, is really, for us to apply ourselves in. And that's what the second half of yesterday was focused on, going deeper and deeper into that level of awareness and supporting us to become lucid, to become aware, to become God conscious, to become truth aware, to experience multidimensionality of security first, while we are in these situations that we've miscreated and we are reacting to. That to react to something is basically foolish, because we have created through our own distortion at a vibrational level that reflection. You understand? Whatever you're reacting to is a reflection that your own energetic distortion has miscreated. And then trying to shift the mirror, or reacting up against, and trying to change what you're putting there, is madness, spiritually speaking. And that's when we want to wake up. We want to wake up and practice spiritual practices. So in these situations, we can choose to focus on God. We can choose to focus on truth. We can choose to focus on, we can choose to focus on God, choose to focus on truth. We can choose to focus on security, that I am because God actually is, because God actually is, I am apparently, being. And I have a temporary existence because of the one that's permanent. And in having a temporary existence, acknowledge the one that has given me the permanent one that has given me my temporary existence. And as a human being, as Ashraf Murad in this particular lifetime, but even beyond this, there is for me, I will be raised up again, and I will live again. So God is the one reality who has given me an existence. I never had one prior to the existence that God has given me. And I will have one again beyond my death, as the scriptures tell us. And so that's really more important, to focus on God, be interested in God, to know the truth about God, to experience the oneness, the experience of the onlyness of God, to praise God, to recognize God as the unique and supreme, all great, all gracious, and what we have with God, the benefit, the blessing, to recognize I trust in God, I release into the care of the one that alone really cares for me. I really am cared for, and nobody and nothing's caring compares to the caring of God. I really am considered by God. Nobody and nothing else's caring and consideration compares to the caring and consideration of God. The compassion of God is upon me. Nobody else in any way can come close or compare in any way to the one incomparable caring, consideration and compassion of God. The championer, my championer, there's only the championer, there's only the encourager, there's only the one that is the comforter. There's definitely no challenger, there's no discourager, there's no threatener. There's only the sustaining, supportive. So we go through that whole thing, There's only God, the oneness, the onlyness. We experience the praise, then we trust and thank, and we release, and experience that assurance, and we experience that appreciation, and then we acknowledge our erring and allow ourselves to experience being protected in this world and the world beyond, rejoicing the compassion and the mercy of God So basically we exist. That's the main thing. We will continue to exist. What experience is more important than your existence? And we have worth. God considers us. There's valuing of us. We have value. And that there is God to overlook our erring and protect us. We are okay, no matter what is going on. And if you can get there, focus on God instead of the problem. Focus on God rather than resisting and reacting to experiences. Champion the experience of assurance, appreciation, reassurance with God. And once you feel that in any situation, as you feel that in any situation, then what happens is you have gone beyond your insecurity, the levels that have produced that problematic situation in your life. And that's when you can say, I'm not interested in what is. It doesn't matter that it is. I'm more interested in what can be, what actually exists now. The all-giving has given me. The all-generous has given me. The all-gracious has given me. I want to focus there. This is where, instead of doing anything about what's happening, we go super-conscious and then we go supra-conscious. Use your superpower. You understand? Go supra-conscious. Choose a different dream. Like when you're lucid in your dream and you choose a different dream, you become conscious and you start controlling the dream by choosing the one you want. Now choose a different reality. When you go super conscious, you are multidimensional. You can choose a different reality. Now go there, not through your hands and your feet and through your eyes and your hearing, not through your body, but through your being. Enter into an alternate reality. Recognize it already exists for you to enter into it. Immerse yourself in it. What potentials and possibilities exist? What potentials of being and becoming exist for you to be and become? What can you be? What can you become that already exists, that you can become aware of it? And when you become aware of it and you energize it, the all-granting materializes it. What can you become aware of and experience in terms of what you want to live and experience? Immerse yourself into an alternate reality. And as you do that, it becomes, because this is the law. So, this is the theory and the practice of going superconscious and going supraconscious. I must say that not everybody will be able to pull this off. Only those who go beyond the child, only those who grow up, only those who will allow and not feel unhappy and, not those suffering from chronic unhappiness or chronic worry or chronic, this kind of addiction to worry and fear and I don't know, I'm so bothered, I don't know what I'm going to do. Those people will never come anywhere close. Those spiritually impoverished who are not releasing and attending to the inner child and releasing the inner child, those who are not growing beyond their child self, is not going to go multidimensional, because the child self is in trances and is just all impatient and unhappy and just is waiting for the world to change and is trying to change the world, which doesn't really help anybody, because the world is a mirror. Your experiences are a reflection. So if somebody is busy trying to change a reflection, getting unhappy about a reflection and trying to change that reflection, keep on trying to change that reflection, they're mad, spiritually speaking. They're not going to in any way own their power. They're projecting out their power. So if you choose to be a child about this and be unhappy and all that sort of thing, then you are keeping yourself from actually experiencing God consciousness. And then if you don't experience God consciousness, you're keeping, if you experience God consciousness, the next is to open up to the grace of God. That He is the one, God is. God is not a he or a she. We just use that colloquially speaking. But God is the one and only, worthy of worship, and the one we turn to fulfill us. You understand? So if you think, I'm so unhappy, my unhappiness is because of this man, this woman, this situation, I don't have enough money, I'm like this, I'm like that, that's why I'm unhappy. No, because you're unhappy, that's why that situation is. Because you're not feeling secure and you're not claiming what you want, that's why that situation is. Somebody might think they're working at the, checkout counter at the supermarket. It's because of their bosses paying them less that they're unhappy. No, it's because they're unhappy that they are working there and getting paid less. So if somebody decides to develop a skill or make a contribution, they will go to a college or somewhere to learn or become an apprentice in some way, and then they would be in a profession or career or job that would be somewhere where they want to be, and they get paid what they have chosen to get paid. So if you apply yourself in life and take a role in life where that you are contributing, you dictate the terms of your reimbursement. But if you don't, if you're just like a child, I don't want to do anything, and you just end up having to get a job anyway, then you'll be like, because of these people, they pay me less, that's why my life is the way it is. But not true. You haven't developed yourself to be of value. Usually, what value you add to people's life is the value you get money coming back, usually. So if you're getting paid low, you must understand you are low giving in life. If you're earning low, you are low contributing, generally speaking. Not always the case, but that can be the case. So, mostly. So, this is what I'm saying to you. But somebody might think, no, I expect somebody to give me without me being of value. Now, that's like a child mentality. And they'll be saying, I'm so unhappy because nobody gave me. Nobody's giving me. I'm so unhappy. In the meantime, they're not being an adult, and they're not being a contributor, and they're not giving. If they were, they would be in a different reality. So that's what we're talking about here. That we can actually apply ourselves in life, as adults. And only the adults can experience God consciousness, and only the adults will experience heaven consciousness. Only the people who are not functioning as children will feel secure. Those who are functioning as children will look for relief, safety, and excitement, and they will just say, I'm unhappy, give me a dummy, and they'll just say, I didn't get my pacifying, somebody didn't please me, something didn't please me, I'm broken, I can't handle it, woe is me, too bad, I feel so bad, whatever it is. So you want to ask yourself, if you want to wake up in this reality from 4D to 5D, you've got to let go of the child. You've got to let go of identifying with a child and living like a child. You've got to be ready to grow up and to actually see things as an adult, and just beyond, I'm unhappy and I should be happy, and other people must live to make me happy. It's all about me and my happiness, and I'm not getting the relief that I'm seeking. I'm so unhappy about that. I'm not getting the excitement that I'm seeking. I'm so unhappy about that. I'm not getting the safety I'm seeking. Now it's everybody's problem that I'm unhappy. Let's go beyond that. Otherwise, you'll remain in time and space. You'll be lost, and your life will get worse as the days go by, because you are remaining in a child consciousness, depriving yourself of security. And you're remaining in a child consciousness, and you're depriving yourself of God's grace in this world and the world beyond. As I said, not everybody will go forward into superconsciousness and superconsciousness. Not everybody will awaken. Not everybody will be enlightened. Not everybody will experience God's good in this world and the world beyond. Scriptures confirm that. Not everybody. In fact, the masses won't. But those of us who are determined and dedicated, those of us who are more committed to truth than trances, those of us that are really interested in becoming an adult, not think we are, those of us who are willing to see the childishness in us and stop it, and to grow beyond childishness into the adult, so that we can come to know what really is satisfaction in our life. Only the adult can know what is really satisfying. The child is that one impatient, looking for the dummy when they don't get what they want, looking for the pacifier when they don't get what they want, getting angry and upset, feeling all lost and all that. And the child is impatient and the child doesn't know what they want. They don't know. The adult is the one that says, I can handle this. This is not anything for me to react to. I'm secure. And from there, they can focus on what is God's good for me that I can live and experience, that I can open up to. What is that? I can open up to that and I can experience that. So that's just a very brief review and a nutshell rendering of what we spoke about yesterday. And I'm opening the floor if anyone wants to speak about anything before we move on with today's program. Floor is open. If you don't want to, that's okay too. Choice is yours.